And that's the 6:30 gong. So, well, welcome everybody to our last meeting of the committee before the summer holidays. Nice short agenda tonight. So, if we rattle through. So, apologies for absence, first of all. Yeah, okay. We've got apologies from Councillor Martin Cox and Mike Cumming, and I think Bob Hinder. Yeah, okay.
Housekeeping.
Oh, sorry. Oh, all right, okay, yep. Sorry, I forgot to mention that we're not expecting a fire tonight. So if the alarm goes off, Mike's going to shoot off out that way, I would imagine, and check that it's not a fire and then come back. However, it is. He'll obviously ask us all to leave the room in an orderly manner. The other thing is, obviously, we're being webcast tonight, as always, and I just wondered if anybody here was so desired as to do their own broadcasting for tonight. Nope. Okay, well, we'll have the public record available anyway, so hopefully that should suffice. So, that's that, yeah. Oh, and any mobile phones, if you can put them silent, if possible, just so that they don't suddenly buzz off halfway through someone talking. And I might lose our train of thought. Okay, so we've done item 1, which was apologies. So item 2 is notification of substitute members. Georgina? Urgent items. We've got an extra nomination from our outside body from Councillor Margaret Rose, who's sitting here attending, for the Maidstone Area Arts Partnerships. Obviously, that will come up when we discuss the appointments to the outside bodies. I'm not aware of any other urgent updates, no? Okay, so item 4 is notification of visiting members. Margaret, do you want to? Yeah, just come up to the speaker and just...
You mentioned the Maidstone Area Arts Partnership, which I would be very keen to take part in. I did put my application in, and I'm very interested in forms of the arts, drama, art, and more particularly, I've enjoyed writing poems and short stories and things like that. So if you put me on there, I'd be very grateful. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So look, if we put Margaret down, yeah, as a visiting member, and obviously she's a substitute, so she'll be here for the briefing afterwards. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's visiting members. So the next item, agenda item 5, is any disclosures by any members or officers linked to this agenda? No, I'm not that surprised. And then item 7, I'll be even more surprised if anyone's been lobbied. Take it, no one's been lobbied on anything. Item number 7, which is whether we need to take anything in confidential session as exempt information. Well, I think based on what we've got before us, it can all be done publicly. Unless anyone dissents? Nope. Okay, so that takes us on to pages 1 to 4, which are the minutes of our meeting held on the 4th of June, which start on page 1. So if we go through them page by page, and any point of accuracy if people indicate. So page 1, page 2, page 3, and page 4. So can we agree those as a correct record? Okay, thank you. Takes us on to agenda item 11, which is a committee work programme. John? Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Sorry, number 9, petitions. Well, we haven't been notified of any petitions this evening. And equally, we haven't been notified of any questions from any members of the public this evening. That takes us on to item 11, then. The committee work programme on page 5. John?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. As I stated last time, this work programme is being populated with looking forward to a number of different key projects that we've got going on. Although I'd just like to point out there's a couple of duplications here. So museums agreeing the story of Maidstone and the options report for the gallery transformation project at the museum is in fact one and the same thing. I would like to keep the options report for the gallery transformation project at the museum, which will include the story of Maidstone within that report. The other one is the sports provision review project timeline approval and the delivery program for the sports leisure review. Again, that's a duplication. The delivery program will be coming in September. This has been an ongoing discussion within the projects team, actually, because a suitable name for this needs to be found so that it correctly reflects what we're trying to achieve. Sometimes we've called it the sports review, sometimes we've called it the leisure review. This afternoon, whilst we were discussing the project and the views and the feelings, that actually what we were trying to do is not just thinking about sports provision and facilities, but it's also about services, and it's the informal as well as the formal activities that we want people to be more engaged with in than they are at the moment. So we came up with Making Maidstone More Active as a title for this piece of work, and if members are happy with that, we'll stick to it to avoid any confusion going forward again.
People happy with that? I mean, the idea obviously comes from the Sports Council, which talks about the minimum physical activity people should do, so that probably makes sense, doesn't it? Faye?
I'm on now. Thank you, Chairman. What a job to try and come up with a name. I do like the name, and especially as I'm the lead member on health and well-being, so I've got a particular interest, and for that reason I think it's a really great tag. What I'm thinking is, does it really cover the leisure side of things? Because leisure to a lot of people could be going to the pictures, and there ain't any activity in that, apart from queuing up for your ice cream, of course. But do you know what I mean? So, or is it purely for the sports, and it's not going to cover leisure at all? Oh, well, that sorted that.
Yeah, the idea is around sort of physical activity. I mean, that's why it was initially called sports. So it's looking at, rather than sort of leisure in the wider sense, it's more specifically around physical activity. Yeah.
And finally, Chairman, there is just one other we'd like to include on the programme, which is a festival and event strategy update, which we hope to come to you in November. Thank you.
Right, okay. Any questions at all for John? If not, with those couple of amendments, can we, I suppose it's we note this, don't we? Can we agree to note the report? Yeah, great, okay. And that brings us on to agenda item 12, which is external boards and outside bodies. So I'll hand over to Mike on this.
Thank you, Chairman. These reports are purely for noting, unless you have any questions.
Annabelle.
I'm happy to propose all of those. Having read through them, I can't see any reason why not to. The only thing that I think is of slight concern, I know Councillor Rose has put forward her application for the arts partnership, but I think that still leaves us with one vacancy, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's the next item, but yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm happy to put forward the nomination or recommend it or whatever we need to do.
Annabelle, you've jumped an item. We're on 12 still. So we need to... 12 is the reports of the outside bodies. So that's when people have given us a report about the work, what's gone on, where they are. Yeah, so that's what, if you're moving...
Yes, that's what I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that. Can I just... Yeah, okay, everyone... Yeah, Faye.
I just wanted to say I'm really pleased to see that people have made the trouble to give a report so that we can keep up to date with what's going on. And I do think it was rather nice of Councillor Rose to come here as one of our new councillors, and she's going to jump in at the deep end. Now, and I just think that's rather nice. I'd just like to say thank you very much for coming along. It's really good to see. So, and I hope that you're going to stay tonight afterwards for the briefing too. Double whammy. Thank you, Chairman. I had to get that in. Thank you.
Okay, so can I take it everyone's happy to agree to note that? Yep. In which case, we now then go on to item number 13 on page, starting on page 9, which is the outside body report. And Mike, you can introduce it.
Thank you, Chairman, and good evening, members. So this report and the table attached to Appendix 1 summarises the outside bodies that fall under the remit of the Economic Regeneration and Leisure Committee. A number of automatic appointments have been made for the 2019-20 municipal year, while some councillors have time remaining on their term of office from previous appointments. So the committee are asked to note these as part of this item. All vacancies have recently been advertised to councillors, and the following nominations have been received. Councillor Clive English for the Collis Millennium Green Trust, Councillors Wendy Hinder and Dinesh Khadka for the Maidstone Twinning Association, and Councillor Margaret Rose for the Maidstone Area Arts Partnership, which was included as the urgent update. The committee are asked to consider these nominations and make an appointment if appropriate. There are 2 outstanding vacancies remaining on the Brenchley charity and 1 remaining vacancy on the Maidstone Area Arts Partnership. The committee could choose to identify a course of action to fill these vacancies. It could choose to nominate a member of this committee, or it could choose to re-advertise the vacancies to all councillors if it wishes to do so. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Anyone, any questions at all? Faye.
Thank you, Chairman. The question I do have is, I'm sure that with the Maidstone Area Arts Partnership, I feel sure that I'm wondering why there are 2 places there. I mean, it's a partnership that the Borough Council has had a long relationship, many years. Now, it's probably historic, I don't know, but I'm not quite so concerned as I am with Brenchley Charity. Do you know, I don't know a darn thing about Brenchley Charity, and I'm going to confess that I didn't even know there was one. I think I heard of it, but if anybody knows anything about it, I would be pleased to hear. Thank you, Chairman.
I can give you a couple of sort of sentences on it because I'm on it now. So the Brenchley Charity, so it goes back to the will of Julius Brenchley, who was the explorer, who has people been to the museum. You know, you've got the canoe and the various artefacts he brought back from his trips around the world. When he died, they were willed to a charity, the Brenchley Charity, in perpetuity. And so that charity has sort of put them in trust, I suppose, well, put them in safekeeping in the museum, but they're actually, the exhibits are owned by the Brenchley Charity. And so their role, obviously, is to look over their artefacts. They raise small amounts of money. They have a couple of people on it who are like historians specifically interested in the area. So it's sort of monitor and oversee charity. It only meets a couple of times a year. And we're currently in discussions with them from the council, and they've agreed at their last meeting, which I was at, that we're looking for them to gift aid the exhibition, the exhibits over to the museum, because it will obviously be a lot cleaner if all the exhibits in the museum are owned by the museum rather than different bodies. So hopefully that's a little bit of potted information for you, Faye. If you'd like to come down, we can quite happily nominate you tonight to be on it. So shall we add you down for now?
I would if I could, but I can't. No, thank you, Chairman. Cheeky.
Yeah, Councillor Brindle.
I'm quite happy to be considered for that.
Good. That's it'd be useful if, I mean, so In terms of the other vacancy, I think Fran Wilson, who was on it as vice chair before, I know she expressed an interest on remaining on it, and I know the Debbie Snook, who's the sort of clerk's charity, was looking into that. So, but I mean, that might be that other vacancy potentially could be filled by Fran, so that, you know, there will be effectively 4 people. So if we take Anne Brindle on, and then we leave the other one vacant for now. Makes sense, if everyone's happy with that. And then on the art partnership, I don't know if there's any committee member here tonight, or obviously we've got a couple missing, but clearly we are, it's on the committee work programme, we're anticipating to have a new sort of arts strategy coming forward in September. And so, I mean, obviously, we need to wait until September to see actually, you know, what it's saying, but it'd be picking up work and items from the audit, which the old Heritage, Culture and Leisure agreed to do an audit of arts organisations and so on. And I'm just thinking that the Maidstone Area Arts Partnership, you know, will obviously be a partner in terms of working through anything what comes out from the art strategy. So it'd be useful if we could look at perhaps filling that vacancy. But perhaps, since I can't see people rushing tonight, perhaps if I could ask people to sort of think about it over the summer. Yeah, because I don't want us to go into a situation where, because we've got a vacancy on it, they suddenly start to think that the council perhaps is sort of, I don't know, wavering on its support and commitment to them as a group. Because I just think, you know, we just, if we are adopting a new strategy, we need to make sure that we're taking them along with us and they don't feel any exclusion. So have a think about that one over the summer. But otherwise, I'd like to move that we appoint all the representatives of Outline. Do I need to read them out again quickly? I'm happy to read them if you want. I'll ask them to. You've got it here. Yeah, sure. So Clive English be appointed to the Collis Millennium Green. Wendy Hinder be appointed to Maidstone Twinning Association. Councillor Dinesh Kardka be appointed on the Maidstone Twinning Association. Councillor Margaret Rose be appointed to Maidstone Area Arts Partnership. And Councillor Anne Brindle to the Brenchley Trust. Okay, is that all agreed by everybody? Great, thank you. And that takes us then on to almost the last page in our pack, which is the Economic Development Strategy, the redrafted motion from our previous meeting. So I'll hand over to John.
Thank you, Chairman. So following the discussion that we had at the last committee regarding the appropriate form of wording for the motion, went away and in consultation with the chair and vice chair came up with this new form of words, which I hope the committee considers to be appropriate going forward into the Economic Development Strategy Commission.
Okay, I'll take Annabelle and then Diana.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to propose the recommendation on page 21, because I think it's been redrafted and actually the gist of what we want is there. So very happy with it. Thank you.
I don't. Sorry, only just a minor alteration, that was all. It's just, I just picked up on the wording on the cross-cutting objectives. It says here on the second paragraph down, the report recommendation supports the cross-cutting objectives of heritage is respected and deprivation and social mobility is improved. For deprivation and social mobility, one's a negative and one's a positive, and we're saying we're going to improve that. So I don't know if we could change the wording there to say that the deprivation will be reduced or eliminated and the social mobility is improved, if that makes sense. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'll ask Mike, just because obviously that comes from corporate, but you're right, there's sort of, to say deprivation and social mobility is improved, you wouldn't want to improve deprivation, apart from eliminate it.
So, yeah, could I just be clear whether you're, so the redrafted motion is in, I believe, is it 2.4 in the report? Whereas the cross-cutting issues are part of the covering report itself. The ones that have been quoted in the cross-cutting objectives are actually part of the strategic plan that was agreed by Council this year. So it's not necessarily relevant to the motion wording itself, but we can certainly take that feedback and I'll pass it on around the cross-cutting issues that are quoted here.
Sorry, could I mention some other? Thank you, Mike, thank you. So I just didn't, with the heritage's respected, can we add a little bit more weight to that, or is that not doable either, sort of thing? It's been agreed, it's all been and done then, can't go back on that, okay.
What I was going to say was, obviously, because they're in the cross-cutting things, those are, in terms of the strategic plan, I'm not going to say strap lines, but those are some, the things which we agreed as a council would sort of overlay everything. So whatever we do, there was a number of things. Biodiversity was another one. So everything we think about, we need to consider, do they address issues around social mobility, deprivation, heritage, biodiversity, etc.
Oh, sorry, I haven't finished, Paul, sorry. So just quickly, Annabelle, sorry. Only quickly, just to finish off that little bit, Annabelle, sorry. Under this, I noticed that biodiversity isn't one of the headings in the cross-cutting. It's something that we agreed at full council to be across the board for, I mean, it may have just got slipped through because we've had a change of the committee structure review. So I can understand if it's got overlooked. But when we have a list of all of these cross-cutting implications, we should have under there by now, as agreed at full council, biodiversity. Thank you.
I think we note that. We note that, and obviously when we have future reports to hear, we need just in that section just to address it, even if a particular report perhaps doesn't have, impact particularly on biodiversity, but it might be a side effect. Annabelle.
Just to say, picking up on Councillor Lewin's point, I wonder if the comments about the strategic plan could be put forward for the refresh, which is going to happen in the next 9 months, because there's always a sort of little refresh over the strategic plan, even though it's written for 5 years. So I wonder if that could just be put forward as an aid memoir for later on in the year. You're looking puzzled, Mr. Foster.
Never mind. So what I was trying to do with the motion, with the redrafted motion, was to try and pick up on the themes that came through from full council and was referred to this committee by Policy and Resources. This by no means is going to be the extent of the brief that we go out to tender on. It'll include all sorts of other elements in terms of, how do we go about helping businesses start up? How do we go about supporting our existing businesses? How do we go about attracting inward investment into the borough? And what type of inward investment do we want? So there's a whole range of other items that are going to be in the brief, and I wouldn't want to try and write that brief here in the committee. Absolutely understand there are cross-cutting issues that need to be respected and understood, and it'll always, in terms of the context of the brief, refer to things like local important strategies, such as our own corporate plan, and then it'll refer to sort of Kent-wide plans and policies that are important to consider, and then it'll go up to the region and it'll talk about the regional economic plan, and then it'll go up to the national and it'll talk about the local industrial strategies. So there'll be a tier of context in which any commission is going to be placed on. So please don't think that this is just the tiny bit of the commission. It's going to be wider. It is going to be wider and involve a lot more than just these small, well, not they're small areas, they're huge areas, but just in terms of, that brief is going to be, it's going to be much more comprehensive. Just wanted to say that,
Do you ask you a question? Will we be seeing the brief at committee, obviously, at the point before we go out to sort of tender for, for companies to actually undertake the work, or?
Wouldn't normally do so, I have to say. It's quite an operational thing, really. Normally the idea would be we would go out to tender and we would, get a number of different consultants to quote, and then we will bring those back. And within that commission, again, part of the commission will be a whole series of stakeholder engagements, consultations with businesses, but with members as well. So that will be an opportunity for this committee to really feed in their thoughts and ideas into that commission.
Yeah, okay. Right, so are we happy to agree the motion as amended? Can I see a proposer?
You've got that.
We've got that already. Okay, so just show of hands quickly. That's easy. Excellent. That's unanimous. So that's that. So at that point, we can declare the meeting closed. Thanks, everybody. Do people want 5 minutes while they're just closing the